Grazie. Come state tutti? Prima, grazie al mio amico Andrea, Mauro, Giulia, who am I forgetting? Nick Mazzaconi, Giada, who's not here, but sì, grazie e salve. I'm just shooting the shit. I'm just gonna bullshit here. I'm a terrible formal speaker, but what I'm going to really try to do is speak slowly in English because everybody tells me I speak too fast. So I'm going to take that into consideration. Mi dispiace per me italiano. No, io non parlo bene l'italiano, but I'll try. Okay. So, where are we at? What are we talking about?
So the first question is how will you keep yourself working in such different musical situations, like pop stuff or avant-garde stuff? How you keep yourself original?
That's a good question. Good question. I get asked that a lot, and I've sort of, I guess a lot of it is just commitment. Like, okay, this gig calls for playing pretty simple, so I just try to keep that in mind. But at this point, I'm too old and too stubborn to not, I just don't know how to like just sound anonymous. It just kind of, it just comes out. So I can't help but be kind of myself in all these things. But, I try to do it respectfully. Like, I don't want to, like when I was with Tiziano Ferro, I kind of made my own judgment call to say that, like, okay, these bass parts from the record and whatever happened before, and it's the guys who played on the records are great. But I figured, okay, it's 2023, maybe these bass lines need some updating. So I just kind of, without stomping on Tiziano's vocals, I just was figuring out places to just be interesting, I didn't like plan on it. It just was like, oh, cool. Every time I never play the song the same way every night. I try, but it just doesn't work. Should you want to translate that? Or?
Suonava anche synth bass che era programmato sui suoni dei dischi di Tiziano.
Yeah, that was a challenge because I'm not a great keyboard player. I mean, I can typewriter style, But it works. I mean, you just do. I'm doing some producing, and like I have to play guitar and stuff, and I have to play keyboards, and I'm just trying to. Andrea is also a great producer, so he knows what I'm talking about. Just got to make it work, Even if you can't play keyboards, you have to sort of find it. Okay, you need a chord that's tricky. You can just overdub it, and no one's really going to ever know, usually. So, unless it's like real piano. Oops. Playing real piano is like kind of, you can't cheat that much, but keyboards you can cheat. So, yeah.
Some of your signature sounds are based on sub pedals.
This thing is jacked in the house. So, yeah, I'm using the Capo, my edition, the Tim Lefebvre edition. And so what's cool about it is if you're playing live, it's like all of a sudden you set up your pedals so that they're ready to go, and you just switch back and forth. I missed, sorry. So, I will say this, like, this is, I think very important is like, don't play the pedal, let the pedal play you. Like, in other words, like, what's the use of, hold on, let me turn this off. Like, what is, like, playing, oops. Like, you don't use a sub pedal, at least in my experience. You don't use a sub pedal to play funk, you know, like, it doesn't translate. What you use it for, to me, and he agrees, is, you know, like big long notes, and like, you also have to listen to electronic music to know. Yeah, oh, good. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, and the reason why the capo is so great, because now it frees me up to. Usually when you play with pedals, there's like gain staging things, and like it's super loud, and now, because of Mauro, if you're playing a live gig, you can kick out of your pedals and still be there, strong. Come se dice strong? Forza? Say forza. Yeah. Actually, it's wild. Hold on. The trick is making it all even, right? That's about right. But yeah. Again, like, I wouldn't use pedals on a Tiziano Ferro gig. I mean, although I actually did on. There was a song called Il Conforto, and I used the octave straight up on it. We were playing to tracks, so it kind of didn't. It just sounded like another synth, giving low end.
If you mind doing some playing with the octave pedals to show some of the uses.
So obviously this is the OC2, which you're playing notes. So it's just sounding an octave below the note you're playing. So if you're, I'm playing C now, here's the octave pedal. And then, you know, you can add, I enjoy this. This is kind of fun. Oh, I have to do it standing up. But you can also, without breaking the pedal, well, actually, the other cool thing, you can either do it on the pedal board or with the capo now. Sometimes the foot doesn't do what the brain wants. But he's got the whammy pedal on this, which is rad. So, you know, which I think actually you need 2 feet for it. Oh, you have it momentary. That's why. How do I get it to do glide? I want glide. Yep. That's rad. Okay. Oops. All of these things kind of sound like a synth, right? Oops. What happened? I mean, obviously, I'd have to work it out, but like you could do that stuff in rhythm too. You could go glide up faster and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, these are all just tricks if you're doing improvising, or even if you're doing a bass track in the studio. You can fuck with all this. It's good. Yeah, take guitar solos. I mean, it's a little jarring. I think Tom Morello used one of these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any old Rage Against the Machine records is Tom Morello. Like he was always doing that. I mean, that's super extreme, but you know, it's not like we pulled this out of thin air. It's been out there on records and stuff. So, but like going back to what you were saying about, you know, playing different styles and stuff like that, you just have to, what's the word? It's got to be authentic, right? I learned how to play pop music from there's a record called Bring on the Night from Sting, and listening, because I was a big Daryl Jones fan anyway, from Miles Davis, and but just the way he played pop music, like he just played up, oops, sorry, you know, oops, like every note sounded like he totally meant it, you know, like every note was a punch in the face. So that was a huge lesson for me, because even if you're playing simple, it's just got to be every note. So that's kind of a super important thing. And it's also, you know, like I heard all you guys playing finger funk and stuff like that, but like it's also really good to slow down and just because you can tell what every note is, you know. These strings are totally dead, sorry. Even with a pick, right? If you listen to, I'm just going to go on. Is it okay?
No.
Okay. No.
After Daryl Jones, you were you know, you were going ahead on something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of playing pop music, I think that was monumental for me, and because he also could play his ass off doing other things. So I was just like, oh, okay. It's a good lesson to learn that like somebody who's completely burning can tuck it in, even though he, you know, with Sting he could unleash it a little bit. And then after that, I fell into the spell of Wayne Krantz, the guitar player, which some of you guys have come to see us in Milano or Bravo Cafe in Bologna. Because he also taught me a great deal about playing originally and playing, like, not playing the usual shit that everybody plays. And it's really valuable to have somebody like that, like a super original. It'd be like playing with Bill Frisell back then, you know, like just, wow, somebody totally different. So the lesson in that was just to, you know, he would yell at me if I was playing like quotes from stuff, even though I actually was quoting stuff. But he didn't know, so, but he was against it, so.
Would you like expand a little bit on Wayne Krantz, like how do you play in and out of the forms, like when playing?
Oh, sure,
Wayne
sure,
Krantz?
yeah. Yeah. So, let me switch bases. Hang on. So, as crazy, some of you guys who have seen that band, as crazy as it sounds to you, it's all based off the 8-bar phrase. So, and everybody knows what an 8-bar phrase is, right? Basically, I mean, most modern music is kind of based on it, sort of. Yeah. So, I mean, basically, we would rehearse what was written music-wise. Like he would write some music, but a lot of it was just improvised after that. But it was all based on the 8-bar phrase. So like maybe I'll play some phrases, see if you can tell the difference when I'm switching it up. Okay, so So you take a tempo like, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play in D flat minor. And by the way, which this drives me crazy, and it may not drive you crazy, but whenever you say D flat minor or any minor key, right? I'm talking about Dorian, so it's not flat 6. So it's not like it's. I mean, there is space for the flat 6 stuff, but I'll explain in a second. But so basically, all right, I'll play in D flat minor, and I'll try to keep it in phrase. Okay, and I'll even use a metronome so we can, because I always try to, this exercise is best with a metronome. Also very slow. You also, like you can set rules for yourself where you can say first couple phrases, I'm just going to play 8th notes, no 16th notes. So let's see, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I played some 16s. And then that's the top of the phrase, right? So basically, now I'm going to mix in some. Can everybody hear the phrase? Are we cool on that? Sort of like what? See how I'm like coming around on the phrase? I know it's a slow tempo, but it's the best way to learn how to do it. So, and then, all right. So this phrase I will. Okay, here's an example of how I would integrate some effects. I'm going to play a repetitive bass line, and you can hear the momentum change a little bit. So here we go. Wish I could do that. Okay, so D flat minor with the little octave pedal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's kind of like, gotcha. Two things that are important: note length, right? I don't know if this is boring or not. Is this boring? Ask him if it's boring. Okay, yeah. I mean, super important is note length. Like when I hear people like learning songs off records, but they're not getting the exact. What's that? I got sunshine every day. What's that song? Yeah. It's not, right? It's really important that you cut off the third note, right? So, because that also adds, if you're trying to play funk, like it's all about that in the funk. And if you play it all legato. Which also has its purposes, like especially if you... That's a Krantz trick, like the last two bars of the phrase, you know? You know, just some bullshit at the end. That's just me bullshitting. But seriously, like note length is also huge. Huge. Like, that's the, like, I mean, good time and good feel. But also, did you notice, I'm playing a pretty slow tempo here, right? I noticed that people try to swing at this tempo, and it's like, no, just get the straight thing down first, which is, you know, so, you know, not, oh shit, I got off, hold on, it's like, I can't hear it, hold on. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's up all the way. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, so straight. And that's the end of the phrase, right? So it's all, these are all things I think about. It's, you know, it's not life or death, but it gives you more character when you play. And also, they're not licks, right? It's all meaty bass stuff, you know? So I'm in A minor, sorry, you know? Right? So it's just kind of like, and I'm totally improvising, so, but I'm just trying to make the point of like what it could be about, to at least to me, you know, like if any of you are going to take a lesson from me, that's where we'd start, like slow and making sure you know where the phrase is and that you're trying not to play licks, you know, it's kind of.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about this. One is technical, is about your right hand. You know, many times you pluck with just one finger in kind of a, you know, not the usual, you know, post Jaco alternating finger position. So that's one technical thing I want to ask you. And the other one is you came into the scene right after a period in which the electric bass players coming out of a jazz scenario were mostly flashy, six strings, chordal players. And you changed a lot of that game, and many musicians started to demand a bass player that it's going back to like a traditional old school sound and effects and a big sound. And how you did feel that transition? I mean, it was natural for you. You was asked about that from leaders. I mean, because I think you have an age
that I've surely have gone through the 6-string active basses decade, you know.
I never had a 6-string. No 6-string. When I played the 55 bar, which I played a lot, you know, when I first moved to New York, I did have a 5-string Sadowski, but I noticed, like, when I was playing with Wayne with that thing, it's just my hands were falling off. Just brutal. And it was a good sounding bass, but it was just like, there was no give in it. It's not, you know, like, this is why I like Fenders and Fender Cup, which you don't get from, like, kind of luthier-made bass. I had a 65 jazz bass with round wounds that I was playing for a long time. Like, after the Sadowski, actually no, I had a 77 jazz that was active as fuck. It was like, because I was really into Marcus Miller and Michelle and Diego Cello. So like I found one at Rudy's for the 77 with a EMG tone pot, yeah. And there's a record from Wayne called Greenwich Mean when I was using that bass. It fucking sounded unbelievable. It was so sick. But, you know, after a while I was like, active is too much. Especially when I started using pedals.
And you also made the transition from the jazz bass to the P bass. You used to play the jazz a lot.
I played the jazz a lot, but I put flat wounds on it, and then I stopped using the back pickup. Like I just was using the front pickup, which makes it sound like a P bass. And then I just got a P bass. I had a 77, which I used on Black Star, and I sold it like an idiot. I sold it for like $1,500. You fucking dummy. But I also used my Moulin on it, so it's okay. But I also used, eventually I got a, what did I get? I got a 68P at some point. When I was on the road with Tedeschi Trucks, I got a bunch of P basses. But I really like, honestly, the to me is the best one. Although there's a maker in Roma, named Handyman. Handyman, he makes old, kind of relict, old kind of basses. So they backline one for me on the Tiziano Ferro tour, and I loved it. I actually bought it from him. Like, I'm at the phase of my life where I don't pay for many basses, and I'm kidding, and I'm not kidding. Like, because I got a lot of basses sent to me that I end up not using very much. But that one I was like, oh shit. So like I bought it, brought it back to LA.
The right hand.
Right hand. Oh, see. I don't ever look at my right hand, so I don't know what I'm doing. I don't. It's all, and my left hand, it's all sound based. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's my middle finger, right? If I want to play like super steady time, my right. Right. I don't do that. It's also the other thing about guys. I see guys playing rock stuff, and it's like they're always playing like, you know. It's no. It's downstroke. All downstrokes. Like with a pick, I don't care what it looks like. But I know I see videos of myself playing, and I'm like, what the fuck is my right hand doing? You know, it's like, because it's not even like a lot of guys drop the hand down like Jocko. It's like the perfect right hand. But I can't. It's uncomfortable for me. I can't make enough sounds that way. And also, I like to see the string go. See what it's doing? It's moving. No matter where I'm playing, it's moving. Like make your fingers do work. Like if you ever, even James Jamerson didn't play very light. You know, he was playing with one finger, but he was hitting it. I mean, I'm not a Jamerson expert, but it looks like he's hitting the bass pretty hard, you know.
Ok, dice che sì, non si guarda mai le mani e quindi non hai idea esattamente di come siano messe, che però di come modifica la posizione è sempre in base al suono, e quindi il suono poi detta come si posiziona con le dita, che utilizza un dito solo oppure il plettro in downstroke quando vuole un suono il più costante possibile,
E poi dice che diciamo, vuole arrivare a un punto di tocco dove vede la corda muoversi, per cui ha un chordo un po', diciamo, un tocco piuttosto deciso. E infatti Tim, questo lo aggiungo io, usa le corde, usa una scalatura 50-110, use 50, G50.
But Andrea is also very, very good with a pick. Like I'm a fan of his, because he does like all this Peter Hook stuff, you know. Andrea Lombardini impression. You know, I'm kidding around, but really he's great at these sounds. Too much reverb. Yeah, but like Andrea plays, like he plays major sevens and you know, like on chords and stuff, and it's super interesting. So it's kind of a Peter Hook vibe. You guys know Peter Hook, right? Yeah. Peter Hook is a god of, you know. I mean, I would, these days I use a compressor when I pick because it's kind of evens things out because I'm flopping this bass out. You're good at that. It's cool to play bass like a guitar sometimes too, you know. I've never practiced that before. There's also, I don't know if you guys know this, but like you can find all these different chords. Like, okay, we're in F major, right? F major to A is like a very pop, you know. You know. So, what Andrea and I try to do sometimes, especially if there's no keyboards. See if you can go up all this, you know, all the way up the scale. It's fucking hard. And then you sort of have to switch. You know, yeah, that was good. Well, thank you. But it's cool that I mean it's harder to do when you don't have open strings, but you can do it in any key, I think, right? Let's see. Yeah, you have to switch there to there, right? The only time you have to switch is when you get to the seventh. And then, you know, whatever things you want to do. But it's a fun thing to explore. You know, you can also get a loop pedal and just like loop a D, right? So you could go, you know. Just imagine you have a loop pedal. Anyway, that's this cool things to find. You know, also. You know, just finding cool little chord stuff is always fun, as long as it stays in the bass area. By the way, how good does this amp sound? Jesus. This is the Volta, the all tube. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So.
Do you prepare yourself when the set list for projects where the set list is always changing, like Susan Tedeschi tracks or?
Well, the set list really never changed with Tiziano. It was same every night, same. Yeah. No, yeah, we would change that up quite often. Yeah. It depends. Like towards the end of my stay with them, he started like the day of the show would learn a song, which is, I can't memorize things that fast, so I would like make a quick sketch of the chords and then, whatever the main bass line was, and then just take it from there. I mean, usually they were easy songs. It wasn't like, we probably learned 80 songs like over my whole, So now it's cool because I know a bunch of, like the Joe Cocker version of A Little Help from My Friends. Like those are classic. I learned a lot of classic music being in that band. So that was fun on that front. Definitely fun. Yeah, I mean, and like, 3 years into the gig, it's like, yeah, I know all these songs. We're all like that. It's just like, yeah, I know these songs. So it wasn't, mentally, it was just kind of like getting yourself fired up for each show,
But do you have how do you approach learning tunes? Like, do you have a specific way of learning, quick learning, or?
There's no, unfortunately for me, there's no quick learning. I have to first of all visually see it, so I have to write out everything, and then as I play the songs more and more, like I see it visually most of the time. So like, oh yeah, this is, even if I'm not looking at the music, which with Tedeschi Trucks I wasn't, but I would remember, oh yeah, this phrase here is 6 bars instead of 8. So I have to jump here, and sometimes people would screw up. It wasn't like perfect. But yeah, but to me, it's all visual. Like I have to write it out first. I can't just, and it's, it's because of I love my dad, but like when I was a kid, in like 7th grade, he like hands me a bass and he's like, "You're a bass player," and because I would noodle around on guitar. But then, he would invite his friends over to rehearse for these like wedding gigs and whatever. So like he'd be playing left-hand bass, and I'd have to like stare at it and follow it. And so like I have this thing about like memorizing. Like I just couldn't get through it without looking at the left hand. So it's a thing with me now. So I have to see a chart, most of the time. Sometimes, I mean, if I'm recording at home, if there's something pretty easy, it's fine. I sketch it out like really quick and or I mark it in Pro Tools. Bridge, chorus, verse, and yeah, because there are things that are very simple sometimes, and there are things that are kind of complicated. So, yeah, Tiziano Ferro, I didn't really have the whole show memorized until like the end. We only did 16 shows. The last 2 or 3 I wasn't looking at much, but there was 2 or 3 songs I had to look at every night.
Favorite bass line among Tiziano Ferro's tunes? Something you would like to quote or play now?
Yeah, I guess I could. I mean, it's really hard out of context. It's not that interesting because we had Pro Tools tracks. Like the whole thing was a zoo. Can you explain? Let's see if I can remember it. Was it this? What was that called? What was that called?
I don't know.
Ah, shit. It's recent. I can't remember what it's called either. Yeah, but that was one where I could put on the octave pedal. I played, yeah. Remember, what was that song called? Huh? Right. No, Raffaello's, oh yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. It it's really a synthesizer line, but I just kind of like figured there's also a slap bass sample in there, so I just, you know. I threw in the Freddie Washington thing. That's totally a Freddie Washington. Anyway, that's kind of what that was. That was always fun. I would occasionally fuck that up too, but my big moment, yeah. What was that song? What is that song? I can't remember what it was called, but you know that. Yeah. You can what's it called? Shazam. Yeah, but a lot of it wasn't like that. A lot of it was just playing, you know, like Le Grand, Il Regalo di Più. Like it's just ballad, you know. What's that? Oh, that's what about Ritornare in Potremo too is another one. Yeah. Maybe those are newer. Those might be newer songs. I mean, we played Serenade and all that stuff. What else? Cativo. What was that called? Anyway, I can't remember all the titles. They're all in my quad cortex. What's the one that's cold outside? 40 something. 40 Boro or something like that. I know. I wrote Boro in my quad cortex, and the musical director came over and laughed at it because Boro means butter. And I was like, you know, it's 40 butter. Or Boro. Anyway.
What are you listening to now? What kind of music are you listening to now?
I'm really listening to a lot of Meshuggah. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I'm just, yeah, I mean, like people tell me about these records all the time, like some Afrobeat stuff, a lot of Meshuggah. What else? Because Family Man Barrett just died, I'm sort of listening to some Marley again. What else? What else am I listening to? Yeah. I'm also like just generally being on a Keith Jarrett kick. Like there's a record called Tribute that's about as high as I can get, you know, like incredible. There's a song called Just in Time on that record. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. It's like a masterclass of piano. It's fucking incredible. And then in the end, there's like a 5-minute tag that they do. It says 3-6-2-5, like, you know, just over and over again, and it almost makes me cry because it's so heavy. It's like, it's incredible. He's like playing blues licks, and then he gets into this bent harmony stuff that's just like mind-boggling. Gives me chills. But so does Meshuggah, you know. Learning Meshuggah is very difficult, though, you know. First of all, because of the tuning, right? They're tuned a half step up, I believe, right? C, F, yeah, it's like C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat on a 5-string. So it automatically sounds different, you know. I'm trying to pick up like these little pieces of stuff on the records because the other stuff's just impossible to, you know. But I did see them live what did I do with my pick? I saw them live last year, Meshuggah, and there was a couple bands opening up that were super cool. Do you have a pick on you? But like I noticed the guy was playing a 4-string, but he was. So basically, there'd be. A lot of it, like a lot of amps, yeah. It's too trebly. When it goes direct, you know, like. Like they do a lot of brown note stuff. Like the low strings just detuned, you know. It says. And that's what it sounds like, and it goes through the PA, and it's just like this. It's not even, it's no real note. It's just, but drop D flat's fun too, you know. There's your Nirvana sound. I just love that, you know. This reverb has a, like a, what do they call it? A snow cone thing on it. It was which is rad as fuck. Yeah, so generally, I'm kind of trying to play like that a little more. Just confusing 16th notes, but they come out in the phrase okay, you know. Just random, you know. If I put the click on, you want it. Let's see, what tempo was that? That was like, so and also, okay. I have a quick story. Like I'm producing this band from Buffalo, New York, and if you notice, like metal and rock records are super precise. And it's like trying to teach that to people is really hard because they don't all think about the click like this. Okay, so like 2, 3, 4. You know, that's my bullshit, my bullshitting sugar. Just like you know, I don't know, but I just love doing that now. I play in a trio now with Nate Smith and Jason Lindner, so I could just do that shit all day. It's great. And Nate's actually a really good rock drummer, so it's kind of fun. So that's, you know, people say, why are you playing flat wounds and why are you playing, like, I do a lot of improv gigs on that bass because it reminds me of the 60s and like Serge Gainsbourg and that's not a usual flavor when you're doing an improv gig, especially electric because, you know, upright, sure, everybody plays free jazz upright and stuff like that, but that's a cool thing because it's like play with a pick and little reverb and weird shit, and it's like it's a nice edge to improvising stuff. See, and I played on the Ocean's 12 and 13 soundtracks, you know, the Steven Soderbergh movies, and the composer David Holmes like taught me a lot about just by the temp music that he was temping in for the soundtrack, and it was like all classic sounding dudes who could barely play picked bass, like I don't know. Serge Gainsbourg being the exception, but there was just so many records out there that just had that old vintage sound, and it just blew my mind, and that made me do a total shift. Like that's why I try to find hollow bodies and try to play with a pick a lot, and yeah.
If you want to expand on how do you think about rhythmically, you know how.
Good question. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. I listen to a decent amount of funk music. Funk music has rhythmically is like super cool, like Prince, you know, James Brown, all that stuff's like. And sometimes it's hard to hear the bass, so like, you're just kind of guessing sometimes. But man, it's like that informs a lot of what I do, and also playing with Wayne Krantz helped a lot. Yeah, basically, I mean, I don't think about it too much anymore. I just kind of do it. I just go. But I've assembled like a big toolbox of ideas. So.
Did you like learn from drummers also, rhythmically?
I mean, sure. I mean, Keith Carlock, you know, because I basically back in the day, I played with him more than anybody. So, and he was coming up with all that stuff at that time. Like now he just does it, you know. But he was learning it back then, so it was just mind-boggling. So like the whole Wayne Krantz thing was just like all this super interesting rhythm stuff going on. Like, can you hold this again? Like, sometimes I think about cross rhythm. Sometimes I think about. Oops, let me find the metronome again. Like lately, I've been trying to do like, you know. So I just kind of like, sometimes I sit down and just do that shit, and it doesn't make any sense, but later on, it might come out in something that's really cool, you know? Yeah, of course. But, I mean, there's so many elements to that question. I mean, at this point, I'm just doing it. But how I learned was just listening. Like, I used to listen to a lot of John Scofield or Van Halen, or you know, like just a bunch of that stuff. So that would always come out some weird way. Even if it was a guitar lick, I would, you know, just come out, you know. So I don't know. Like, yeah, this is a. But Scofield would like hammer on it, you know. That's how Scofield would always do. But he'd do it longer because he's good, and I'm not. Yeah. You know, like he's more fluid than I am. But I took little chunks of it, you know. You know, I don't know. And also, sometimes I just sit around and just go. Just shred free shit on. I'm super rusty, so I can't do it, but. As long as it's in time. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but it's in time, sort of. I'm serious. I'm just like, but it's, you know, it's also stuff that'll come out later, you know? It's like, and maybe when you're making a bass line up, it's like, oh yeah, I remember, like little chromatic things, you know? He just was saying, I don't know what the fuck he's doing over there. Not sure what the fuck he's doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing, actually. Which is kind of the beauty of it. I mean, really. Not knowing is also fun. So, for instance, we both have this friend, Paolo Cataneo, is like a composer, keyboard player. I mean, we did a record together. They recorded it, and then I did some tracks on it, like just did some drum stuff and blah, blah, blah. But yesterday I went to his house and we jammed, and like, you don't know what it's going to be like, you know. But because I know kind of what I can do to make it kind of cool, you know, that's just how it works, you know. So, yeah, I also just remembered, like, I'm playing really hard right now. Like, you know, like everything's. So whoever's going to mix this, is this you? You're going to mix this? the video? You're going to mix the audio?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask him is to roll off like everything everything above 5K, because all I'm doing is going. And when you hear, this is the thing about me, when you hear stuff recorded, and like, I try not to play with this tone when I'm recording, and I'm forgetting that we're recording, but like, and I cheat by turning the tone down. I mean, that's one way you can get around it, but other than that, I'm just like, that's my default. Which, you know, if you cool it out in a track, it's cool, but like, I need to play gentler. Like, that's how you should play, but I don't, so.
You're using a lot of pedals and different sounds. How do you usually record when you track? How do you treat bass sounds? You have one, you have several tracks.
How do I mix them? How do I?
Yeah, I mean, how do you record yourself? I mean, or if you're in studio, how do you want the engineer to record you?
Oh, I see. Yeah, most of the time I bring the capo. Honestly, it's just a great. You can use either side of it, but it's a great sounding DI. So like, there you're starting off with a good sound, and you can also tailor it how you want the engineer to hear it, at least initially. Sometimes, I mean, when I record myself at home, I mean, usually the artist doesn't want you to do anything to the tracks. Like, they want to make their sound out of it, you know. So sometimes I record with compression, but I don't usually. Like, just, it's better off, like even on records, I don't mix, but like, you know, basically 90% of the time your sound is going to be totally different when they're mixing, you know. Like, really, it's kind of weird. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's their mix. So, you know, like, sometimes it's just too much treble. It's like too much DI. Like, they just don't warm it up sometimes, but that's what they hear. And sometimes it's cool, you know, but other times it's like, you know, so I try to send them something that they can mix, and then, you know, I don't do much EQ. Well, I do the EQing on here, like, well, how I like it, and then, you know, they can roll off whatever they want or add whatever they want. Like when I did Tiziano Ferro, I modeled this capo, you know, into my quad cortex, and the front of house guy, all he did was add 800, so didn't have to do much. So.
But, so you usually like take a dry and wet signals, like, or you keep like a straight, something like a clean bass, or.
See. Capo usually is my clean side, and then I have a dark glass at home. I mean, you can use plugins too. It doesn't matter. But I have a dark glass Atom, which is fantastic for, you know, that's your sauce channel. You can put compression on it, amp simulator, distortion, whatever, you know. Just kind of make sure you're sending them one clean thing that they can do their thing with, and then send the other thing what you imagine it should be. Right, because, you know, there's me fucking around on the bass, but like, and then there's the part of making a living. Yes, so you have to have that game together too, especially these days. Yeah, I'm not a great engineer, but I know how to dial up the bass sound now, which is cool. It's helpful.
Assuming you are not practicing for a gig, like you have to prepare something, to learning tunes or whatever, if you have time to sit down with your bass, do you still work on something? What do you work in?
This stuff, the noodling. And sometimes I work on playing in six, so, you know, in E, which is easy, you know, go up. You know. There's no easy way to do it. It's just, to me, it's the hardest intervals to play. And if you know those, you can play the bass pretty easily, because it's also the other thing about these things. Yeah, that's how rhythm guitar players would play. You know, like R&B guys from like the 70s. It's the whole thing was, you know. Yeah, there's no ain't. But yeah, so, and also like, you know, like that Radiohead song, it's one of my favorites. It's Optimistic, so it's like, you know. Which you can't play unless you know how to play 6, right? Right, so, yeah, it's funny because I was like, man, how do you play that on guitar? And then I figured out, and once I started practicing 6, it's like, it's all, you know, that to me is like the most important thing that I always go over, including upright. So, yeah, generally if I feel guilty about not practicing, I'll pick up the upright bass and let that humble me. It's humbling.
Do you mind like just play something for the end of the session?
Why not? Let's see. I don't know what I'm going to do. Sorry. Thank you. Grazie al tutti. Grazie mille. Thank you for coming.